have ever been in your life up until this moment. So there's a famous saying in the Abundance and Prosperity Workshop, and it's just 3 words, up until now. So however you've been being up until now, now you have a new choice. So did you ever hear yourself say something like, you know, people even say, I procrastinate. Like it's a fact. I procrastinate, or I'm late. I'm always late, or whatever that is. And we state it like it's a fact, like it's a done deal. And I always, in order to break that up, I always add on the 3 words up until now. So presumably you don't want to procrastinate or be late or whatever the thing is you say that you are. So one way to draw the line in the sand is to say, well, up until now or historically, I have X, Y, Z, and now I'm committed to what's next. So up until now, you've had whatever experience you've had in your life around accomplishing goals or creating, being procrastinating or not. And as I said a little bit earlier, however you've been being, I'll invite you to be here this evening like you've not ever been before. In other words, if you're holding yourself in some sort of a space historically to be true that you're trying to get out of, that's like digging yourself out of a hole and like digging the hole bigger. Because you keep saying out loud, I'm a procrastinator, I wish I could stop. I'm always late, I wish I could stop. And what is the universe here? Procrastinate, late, etc., or whatever. So be willing to let that go tonight. Be willing to invent something new, and I'm going to ask that you invent something that you hadn't even thought of before you came here. Are you guys up for that? Trust me on that one? Okay. And tonight, you're going to have some fun. You'll learn. You'll be inspired. We'll be talking more about the different workshops that we have. We have flyers. We have a lot going on that we want to invite you to participate in. All right, you ready to talk about
That's a sign.
Aren't you glad you're here?
Is it a downpour?
Just in time. Good thing we didn't procrastinate.
I'm just noticing those really obvious signs that say, do not open windows. Does anybody have a tissue or something handy? Thank you. Okay, that's resourceful person. Okay, everybody get this one down? Procrastination is the grave in which opportunity is buried. That's my short quote. When I've forgotten to write the quote, I write that one. Here's my other quote. Anyone can do any amount of work, provided it isn't the work he's supposed to be doing at that moment. Did you ever notice that? Anybody can do any amount of work, provided it's not what you're supposed to be doing that moment. So when your paper is due, what calls to you? The dirty dishes, the bathtub, the laundry that you also should have been doing. The what?
Facebook.
Facebook, yes, Facebook. The sending, catching up on your emails, right? So I'll tell you a little quick story. I've been doing freelance-related work for, years, many years, okay? Have my own company, and I actually have a real eraser in that bag. So.
Okay.
Thank you. So, when you're a freelancer, how do you get paid? Like, what's the method by which, why am I asking you this question? You have to write invoices, right? It's not like a trick question. You have to submit invoices in order to get paid. It's not a regular paycheck. So until you submit your invoice, you don't get paid. So I had a client, which I was working for hours and hours every week, and like 40, 50 hours, something like that. And I had to detail everything I was doing. Like, you know how they tell you to, line item kind of thing? Okay. You can imagine how little I wanted to do that. Even though it represented thousands of dollars to me, I didn't want to do it because I would have to spend every week away from my family, like 2 to 3 hours, figuring it all out. So what I would do is I would go in the office Saturday morning around about, I don't know, 9 o'clock, it depends on how early I could get in there. My own office, my husband was with the kids, and I would start to clean off my desk. And before you knew it, okay, and I handled a lot of stuff, and then I would start to go through my emails, and I would handle, and I had a really, really productive day. And I could be there sometimes until 11 o'clock at night, like literally working. I had that much stuff to do. However, sometimes I would get till 10:30 at night, and I wouldn't have done my invoices yet, and I was a little too tired for that. And since that was only my deadline, not their deadline, it was okay, right? So then a whole other week would go by, and every week I'd put in my little notes, and I tracked it very carefully. And another week would go by, and another week would go by, and another week would go by. So what I was doing was I was very productive. I just wasn't doing my invoices. So I got one of those, you must submit your invoices by December 21st, or, in order to close out the year. So I was like, oh, all right, now I gotta do it. So I go in, and I'm looking back at my notes, and I'm like, oh, do December, and then I realized, I never did November. So I go and I do November. I never did October. Okay, so I had 3 months of invoices to do in one night. Thrill seeking or what? And of course it got me into all this trouble. Not trouble,
Your
trouble.
Clients love when you do that, by the way.
What?
Clients love when you
Yeah, they love that when you do that, because now they have to deal with 3 months of invoices. And it brought a lot of, honestly, it brought a lot of attention to my invoices, because it was so many thousands of dollars. When you can feed it to them 1 week at a time, they're like, oh, $500, $600, it's no big deal. But when it's like $10,000, they're like, well, man, we're paying this woman $10,000. It brought it to their attention, and it was not really a good thing. I will tell you that. So when I think about this, I think how productive I was. I was so productive. I just wasn't being productive about the right things. Okay, sound familiar to any of you? Yeah. So I'm going to assert that, especially if you're here, it's likely that you're not a couch potato. Like, all the couch potatoes are still sitting on their couches right now. Of the 7,999,970, they're all sitting out there. They're either in bars where having a good time, or they're on their couch, etc. They're not here. So it's likely that I'm going to hear that you're at least moderately productive and would like to get more productive or get sort of on. Okay, so that's who we are. So now, when I was researching for this topic of procrastination, I found a phrase that changed my life, my entire life. Ready? Technically, there's no way to stop procrastinating. What? I came all the way out the rain. You hear that? There's no way, because no matter what you're doing, you could be doing something else.
You just broke their hearts right there. They all came to stop procrastinating, and you just shattered their hopes.
I shattered, right. But this was actually, it was almost like freedom for me to hear this, because what I realized is that no matter what I'm doing, there's something else I could be doing. So like right now, I'm not with my children. Thank God somebody else is doing their homework with them, but I'm not with my children. Right now I'm not writing my book. Right now I'm not spending time on vacation. Right now I'm not cleaning my dishes. Right now there's a lot of things that I'm not doing that are actually very important to me. So the person that I read this from said that you're probably doing one of 3 things. You're either doing nothing, okay? Which again, we said the people that didn't come tonight are those ones that are doing nothing, probably. You're doing something less important, or you're doing something more important. And further, this person went on to say that the majority of our procrastination, loss of time, is under number 2. It's important, but it's less important than what could be more important. So this this morning, I dropped my daughter off at school. I came in the office. No one else was in the office. It was like 8:25. And it's those quiet moments that you can actually do something, right? And so I have a blog, so I keep up to date on the blog. And really, that's the only time I can write it, because the minute somebody comes in the room and is on the phone or something, I'm like, because it's my conversation. Up until now, I can't write the blog, and somebody else is in the room. So, but what's the first thing I did when I logged onto my computer? Wanted to check my email. Oh my goodness, all these people are RSVPing. They're going to want to hear back from me. That's important. All these things. What?
And Facebook.
And, well, yes. I mean, I had to check the RSVPs on Facebook. I had to do that for sure. But I caught myself, probably because I was doing the seminar tonight, I caught myself to say, okay, that is important, but right now, that's less important. If I'm allotting my half hour that I have before people come in to writing my blog, then I'm going to do that. Even though, you could argue that's not as urgent, but it's as important. Does this ring true for anyone here? Anybody want to say anything about this? Someone want to say anything? JP?
Well, I'm also self-employed, and and I write a blog, and I have all these things going on, and I find myself in the, well, what do I have to do now, or what should I be doing now? The invoicing, it's the same thing. If the invoices go out, the money comes in. If I call the customer and say you're late with your payment, the payment comes in. But then I've got to write my blog, but then I've also got to be marketing myself for new business. So I find that, yes, everything that I have to do is significantly important to the bottom line, but what I sometimes get stuck in what I should be doing right now, right this second.
Yes, and so I would ask myself this has helped me, to ask myself that question, is this more important or less important? So if I need money, nobody needs money, but abundance and prosperity, you don't need money. But if I'm urgently desiring money, let's just call it that, then calling somebody late on their bill is probably more important than writing a blog. I always like to think, doing the dishes is a good way to avoid. However, if your future mother-in-law is coming to your apartment for the first time, you might want to do the dishes. That might have urgently gone up the list, but if she's coming over in a half an hour, okay? Someone else, something that you'd like to say on this topic, Garfield?
It's great to see that the choice is between those three choices. I think most of the time, I think the choices are, I'm doing something or I'm not doing something. And this actually gives me more opportunity to take action if I know that I have a choice between nothing, less important, more important.
Yes, okay, and so if you're not doing anything, what do you say about yourself? You are lazy. That's the big one. Okay, what else do you say about yourself?
Loser.
You're a loser. Okay.
Not
What else?
motivated.
What?
Unmotivated.
Unmotivated. Okay, what else?
Avoiding.
Avoiding. But what do you say about yourself though? What is the conversation that goes on in your head?
You're unproductive.
Unproductive.
No energy.
No
Must not
energy.
want it bad enough.
What?
Must not want it bad enough.
You don't want it bad enough. No, I heard another.
Undeserving.
You're undeserving.
Incompetent.
Incompetent, yes. Write these down. What else do we say about ourselves?
Tired.
Tired. I'm always so tired. Overwhelmed. That was mine. I have to add that one.
Sometimes you just
need to rest.
Oh, everybody deserves a rest, right? It's time for rest. But you do, just not right now. Okay, what else do you say about yourself, though? What are some of the negative conversations you have about yourself?
You're not good enough.
You're not good enough.
He's smoking red wine.
That would be in the nothing category. Smoking pot is something. Well, that's true. Less important. That would be the less important.
done like transformational work, when they have this kind of situation, often say, "Oh, it didn't work. I'm not transformed. I didn't get it."
Right. I'm not transformed.
There's no hope for me. I didn't get it.
Okay.
It didn't fix me.
Stop. One of my favorites is I'm not disciplined. Anybody here have the I'm not disciplined? Yeah.
It's a good excuse.
Unreliable. Not disciplined.
Not responsible.
Unreliable. Not responsible.
Notice how chatty they are now.
Yeah. What else do you say about yourself? Think about it.
That's more important.
What?
That I don't know.
Yes, I don't know. I don't know what's more important. I can't make up my mind. I'm indecisive. I'm so indecisive. Anybody ever say that? I'm so indecisive. I can't decide. I'm not capable. Anybody have a I'm not capable conversation? Okay. Incompetent, I think we put up here.
Screw it, I'll do it later.
So here's the thing. Screw it, I'll do later. Okay, here's the thing. Do you notice how if you hold procrastination like a thing, okay, like a thing you have to solve, and you can't solve it, what's the problem? Where's the problem? Not what's the problem. Where's the problem? Me. I'm the problem. Not the task, not the thing that's got to get done, but there must be something wrong with me that I do this every time I wait until the last minute to do my paper. Like every time I got to do that. What is up with that?
Slow learner.
I can't learn my lesson. You know, I just can't learn that lesson. And then what do? We try really hard to figure out what's wrong with us so that we can fix what's wrong with us. Like, okay, I'm going to be disciplined all day. I'm not going to eat any sugar all day. No sugar today. No sugar. All right, 1 sugar, extra milk, and the coffee. You know, like, can I drink coffee without sugar? No, I can't do that. I mean, yes. Up until now, I have not been able to drink coffee without sugar. But then what do I say? Oh, I'm just not disciplined. I just don't have the discipline to do it. You can see I'm kind of down on the discipline thing. I don't buy into the discipline thing at all. It's all about motivation for me. So, but what if it wasn't any of that? What if we're not here to solve this problem? Okay? What if you're not procrastinating?
So I shouldn't file my tax?
That's what extensions are for! You gotta get on the extension bandwagon! Right, he says, well, my accountant says that if you file an extension, you're less likely to get audited. But really, he's the one that's procrastinating, right? Not me. He's the one who has to file them. Okay, so but do you see what I'm saying? Do you hear what I'm saying? Which is that when we say we're procrastinators, we spend all our energy trying to figure out what's wrong with ourselves so that we can fix ourselves so we stop procrastinating. And I'm here to say that there's nothing wrong with you and that you're actually not procrastinating. You're doing something, or that it's showing up as procrastination, but that actually what's stopping you is not that you're lazy or a loser or unmotivated or any of these, that you're unproductive, but just that there's things about it that you are resisting in some way, and then if we got to that, we'd be able to figure that out. Anybody want to say anything about this? Any comments or questions?
Well, in some ways, I'm like, well, I guess coming to this workshop is procrastinating on the things that I've been procrastinating my entire life.
It's about priority.
But at the same time, it's being proactive in the procrastinating cat. I mean, it's just a vicious cycle.
Yeah.
But it's getting to the root of...
But it's kind of like exercise, right? Because, you know, you got to find the time to exercise. But of course, if you don't find the time to exercise, then you're dead. You die kind of earlier.
Then you don't really have time.
What? So it is. It's about priority and all that. But see, for me, the key message here is that number one, there's no way not to procrastinate. So surrender, Dorothy. It's going to happen. And number two, and it's not because something's wrong with you. Okay. So let's look at some reasons why we might be procrastinating. Any other questions, comments while everybody write this part down? Or got it committed to memory? Oh, by the way, I write a blog. Remember I told you about I was writing a blog? And I've written an article about this very topic, about procrastination. And so we're going to be sending a follow-up email to you if you gave us your email address, and I'll make sure that you get a link to it so that if you didn't take notes tonight, you could do that. Okay, you could read it. Yes?
One thing that I find difficult about that, like with everything that you wrote, if I am someone who's unreliable, then I'm an unreliable person trying to make themselves reliable. But since I'm unreliable, I may be unreliable in making myself reliable.
Absolutely. But you've also told yourself, you've convinced yourself that you're unreliable, and you say it like a fact.
The only game you win there is the game of being unreliable. That's the only game.
Yeah, we can count on Garfield to be unreliable.
Until now.
Up
Up until now.
So we say that about 1,000 times in the Abundance of Prosperity workshop. So it's like a month. It's just automatic. It comes up until now. So yeah, but up until now, Garfield has lived in the world called unreliable. Now, there's some payoffs to being unreliable, are there not?
Yes.
Like,
You don't have to file your taxes.
you don't have to file your taxes. That's right.
No one asks you to do anything.
Yes.
Nobody asks you to do anything for them.
You find new hobbies.
You find new hobbies. Okay, there are some payoffs to being unreliable, and payoffs to all the other things that you told yourself that you are that you really aren't, and that you'll discover through the course of doing all this work with us that you're not. Okay, now, as my little final statement on this page says, we're not looking for flaws to fix. That's not our purpose. Our purpose is to look for the reasons that you might be procrastinating, because there are reasons. Okay, so I group them under 3 major categories. So the first reason you may be procrastinating is because you're avoiding. Okay, so now that you're not procrastinating, but instead are avoiding. So you see the difference? If this is true for you, this is not true for everyone. Not everyone's an avoider. If it's true that you haven't accomplished that yet because you're avoiding, what might be some things you are avoiding?
Well, isn't it if you hate something, like if you hate to do taxes, so you would avoid doing that, right?
Right. If something is disdainful to you,
So the things that you do.
Or boring.
boring,
Responsibilities.
like responsibilities. I heard something.
Like you don't want to take on extra responsibility, like so you know them.
Right. You don't want to take on something. You don't want to take on extra responsibilities.
Difficult. Something that's more difficult for you to do.
Yes, it's difficult. You might be avoiding it because it's you think it's going to be difficult.
And then you got a fear.
You might have some fear. You're avoiding some. So, like, what might you have some fear around?
Success.
Okay, you might fear success.
Change.
You might fear change.
Rejection.
Rejection.
Sometimes you just don't know how to.
Okay, sometimes you don't. Is that a fear one or is that a
Yeah, I mean, if I'm procrastinating writing my bio because I don't know how to do it or stuff like that, you know, because
Yeah.
you're not really know how to go to get to it to start it. But once you do it, you realize how it's like easy.
It's kind of
But,
fear.
yeah.
Fear of failure, of not being good enough.
Okay, so we have
Yeah.
fear of success, and then we have under that fear of failure. But we also, another thing we're avoiding, excuse me, is in making a decision. I'm avoiding making a decision, right? Why? Because I don't think I'm good at it.
And also putting the time is, you know, sometimes
Avoiding
people
the time
don't want to put
investment.
the time in it.
Mhm.
You get
Avoid-
more responsibilities after that.
Yeah, so the other thing is that as soon as you do something, what happens? People start to expect you to do it again and 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 again. Like, I did the dishes once, honey. I'm not doing them anymore. Yeah. No, but people begin to expect it. But we set it up that way. We think that it's a never-ending obligation to do that forever because we did it once. But it's not. You still always have a choice not to do it next time. Did I write it down?
Expectation.
Expectations, okay. Okay, what else are we avoiding?
Be judged, maybe? Be judged?
We're avoiding being judged, yes. We're avoiding being judged. Excuse me. So we don't want to put ourselves out there because, again, we might be successful or we might fail or we might be rejected. Those are all things that are around looking good. We want to avoid risking looking bad. Anything else that you could think of? Yeah?
Avoiding making a decision because you don't want to make the wrong decision. So you don't make any wrong at all.
Right. You don't want to make the wrong decision. What else are you avoiding?
Being out of control.
Yeah, lack of control. Okay, everybody likes to be in control.
Losing something that you already know you have.
Losing something you know you already have. Like, can you give an example?
Like a relationship. You're afraid to have a conversation with a significant other or potential significant other because you're afraid to lose whatever that is familiar to you. To go into like the unknown or whatever it may be.
Yeah, so you're afraid you procrastinate having that conversation with your significant other or your roommate or your mother or whatever, and then so every time you meet them, it's like, oh, I really have to have that conversation, Things are kind of going along okay because you think that as soon as you say anything, then it's going to all erupt. But isn't most of the time that you do that, and then afterwards you're like, I'm so glad we had that conversation, we figured that out. Like, I can't even think of a time that I had a really important conversation that it turned out worse than it was before. Except talking to my children about homework. It's kind of the exception. Right. Okay? Avoiding. What else are we avoiding? I also have a little... Confrontation. Okay, we might be avoiding confrontation. I don't need this anymore. Just put that on the side. Confrontation. Okay, similar to what we were just talking about. Okay. Okay. Another thing we might be avoiding is doing something else, like we were talking about with the invoices. Right? We're being productive to avoid being productive. Ironically, okay? Another task. Okay, so we get the general idea here. Anything else to add that you can think of? Okay, so that's one. I'm just going to erase this because I have more to write on here that I want to keep on the board later, so you get the idea. So instead of procrastinating, just as a start, you could say, instead of, oh, such a lazy, I procrastinate, instead of saying that, you could ask yourself the question, what am I avoiding? Or what am I resisting? And that just takes the focus off of you, me, and onto, well, what am I avoiding? What am I procrastinating? Okay? That's number one. Number two we referred to earlier, which is the thrill seekers. These are the thrill seekers. Okay, so what do I mean? We actually sometimes get a thrill out of that last minute, up until, I'm so creative at 4 a.m. Do you ever notice how you're more creative? Of course, you have no idea how creative you would be at 4 in the afternoon because you've never actually written a paper at 4 in the afternoon. Only when it's due at 6 o'clock. You don't know how productive you are 2 weeks before an assignment's due. You only know how productive you are 24 hours before it's due because that's the only time you've ever done it. But there's what a rush, and you walk in, you're a little bit groggy because you only have a couple hours sleep. And the coffee's got the 2 sugars in it now, and you're like, prof, I handed it in, and he's like, got it in one more time. Got it in. Right? Sound familiar? This could be work deadlines. This could be, anything. Anything that's, a signed contract for your client. Whatever it is. Oh, just got it in. Pulled another one out. What? And that's the last time I'm ever going to do that. Never again. I'm too tired to just never again. You know, the very next time. Here we go. You know, I still got time. You know, and that's the second part of the thrill seekers. There's a breed of us, and I call myself among those, which are time optimists. Anybody here a self-avowed time optimist? Okay. It takes me way less time to do stuff than everybody else. You know, because I only need 15 minutes to get ready in the morning. Not, you know, so I'm like, get yourself dressed, come on, let's go. Where, you know, and I'm yelling at my kids because they dilly-dally upstairs or whatever, and I'm like the whole time going like, why can't they get their moving? You know, meanwhile I'm in the closet still figuring out my clothes because I can get it all done in 10 minutes, but I really can't. You know, so time optimist. Okay. And then the other part about this, the time thing, is that if it's due in 2 hours, you're closer to the end product. If you wait, so if you're waiting for the end product, i.e. the grade or whatever it is, you don't want to be standing around on a subway platform for on the train platform for half an hour waiting for a train. I got better things to do with my time. You know, but then you're running for the train, right? I got it again. Okay, so if it's too far out, we're not inspired for some reason. Right? I've been there, done that, seen it. So yeah, so if it's too far out, it doesn't capture my imagination, you know, it doesn't call me forward. Because it's about it calling me forward instead of me just calling myself forward and doing it because I said I wanted to do it because I'd rather relax with my friends for an hour, you know what I mean?